Welcome to Fight Club 24/7. My name's Johnny Rashman. Right, let's get straight into it. Bit of sensational news coming out of the boxing world. Yesterday, I'm scrolling through social media, I'm looking at what content to put out, and I come across news that not many were expecting, that British trainer Joe Gallagher will now train fighters in Saudi Arabia. His Excellency, I think this is how you pronounce his name, Turki Al Sheikh. He's head of the Riddier season, and he's basically head of all the entertainment and sports promotions that go on in Saudi Arabia. He's accountable for that, right? And he has signed up Joe Gallagher to head up a gym, the first ever Mike Tyson gym that's going to be in Riddier. Let's go through the statement. I might be a bit off with this because the writing is small, it has been translated. But the statement reads, His Excellency Turki Al Sheikh, the head of Riddier season, announced today as an agreement with award-winning boxing trainer Joe Gallagher to oversee the first ever Mike Tyson boxing gym. The state-of-the-art facility will be built in Riddier, the capital of Saudi Arabia, as part of Riddier Season Festival. Riddier Season plays host on October 28th to the Battle of the Baddest, the Fury and Nagano nonsense. Entertainment is universal language, transcending conventional barriers, and in turn, promoters inclusion by bringing people together around a shared experience and form of art, said His Excellency Turki Al Sheikh. That's why we've made boxing such an integral part of Riddier season, and it's why we're proud to partner with Joe Gallagher on this exciting opportunity. Riddier season signed the agreement with Gallagher to continue investing in boxing and entertainment in the kingdom. Gallagher will now be responsible for managing and overseeing the first ever Mike Tyson boxing gym in the world, due to open next month, which is geared towards discovering, developing and training the next generation of boxers. The former heavyweight champion of the world and Hall of Famer Mike Tyson will also play an active role in managing the facility. As part of this agreement, Gallagher will also be responsible for the training and developing of local Saudi teenage boxing prospect Muhammad Ali. I think that's how you pronounce it. Gallagher said, "It's great to be involved in such an exciting project in a growing market where boxing is really taking off. The fact that Saudi Arabia has attracted such huge names as Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou to fight in Riddier, and worked with Mike Tyson to create the first gym with his name attached to it, shows the commitment in putting Saudi Arabia among some of the top nations in terms of boxing events and building world-class facilities." Okay, so it is bombshell news now. I don't blame Joe Gallagher for going over there and taking the money. You know, he's paid his dues to boxing. And I have voiced concerns about Saudi Arabia in the past, like a lot of us, when it was first mentioned that boxing was going there. We're talking about human rights issues, etc. But I've changed my mind to an extent, just by the fact that boxing is a universal language and other sports are competing there. Look at golf, look at what's happening with football now. They're attracting the best players in the world. Yes, they're overpaying, right? But the best players in the world are going over there. Now, for me, I've come to the conclusion that if you're going to be political with one country, you have to be political with all of them, right? And there's things I don't agree with in Saudi Arabia. I don't agree with gay people not being able to be gay or lesbian, right? I don't agree with that. I don't agree with how women are treated, right? But hopefully things can change. And the World Cup changed my mind a little bit, because when I watched the World Cup in Qatar, there was absolutely no violence. If you look at every single football tournament, whether it's been in Europe or any other part of the world, there's always been violence, hooligans fighting. When I was in Qatar, there was no fighting. Now, the things that I agree with is that they treat crime properly and appropriately. If you step out of line, if you commit a heinous crime, you will get dealt with accordingly. And I think there's a lot to take from that. I think look at the West now, especially the UK, it's just a nonsense. I mean, you've got people disrespecting the police officers. You commit a heinous crime. What sentence do you get? You get more for fraud than you do for killing someone or being a paedophile. It's a joke. So I agree with ruling with an iron thumb to an extent with crimes. If you commit a heinous crime, you should deal with severe consequences. Now, I'm not saying that people should be beheaded or anything like that, but there has to be severe consequences. So watching the World Cup, people never stepped out of line. And I've spoken to a lot of people who have been to the Middle East who work there, and they say it's as safe can be. You know, if you act properly like a normal human being, you don't commit crimes, you won't have any issues. If you commit a crime, you'll have problems, right? So I agree with that aspect, right? However, it is, I mean, I was shocked by the news because there was no incline this was going on. There was no talk of it. And Joe Gallagher's got a big stable. He's from my city in Manchester, right? And he's got a big stable of fighters. I don't know what's going on with them. I've messaged Joe. He's not messaged me back. I don't know what's going to go on with the fighters. I presume some might move out with him. Some will probably train with Anthony Crolla, Scott Quigg. Because the one thing about Joe is he has his ex-fighters around the gym. You know, it's not just him training the fighters. Scott Quigg will do pad work. Anthony Crolla will do pad work. Will get fighters ready for a fight. You know, he has his own gym as well. He's got his own fighters. So I presume some will go there. A lot of people were thinking that Joe Gallagher might not be able to get to the heights he once got in boxing, you know, having multiple world champions, Ring Magazine Trainer of the Year. You know, a lot of people thought maybe he's seen his best days, even though he's still a world-class coach. You can't buy, borrow, or pretend to have knowledge. A lot of people were saying this, but he's reinvented himself again. You know, he has got serious contacts now in the Middle East. So if you're one of his fighters or you know him, you're going to get big opportunities because you can't get better than him being in there with the Saudis, you know. And it shows that Saudi Arabia are taking it seriously in the aspect that they're putting grassroots in. I've said this before, you know, build your own fighters. Stop taking the best fighters in the planet like in football. Build your own footballers. You know, it doesn't really concern me what's going on in football because they can take the best players, but with all due respect, no one grows up being a fan of Al Hatik, if that's how you pronounce it, Al Hilal, I think it is. No one dreams of waking up and playing for them. You know, maybe in Saudi Arabia, but not across the world. People support football teams that don't support players. There are exceptions like Ronaldo and Messi, but 99% of the time, people support football teams. So even if they took the best players in the world, England will be fine, the Premier League will be fine. We'll just create our own players. And probably some of us think that's probably the best way. Instead of bringing people from different parts of the world in, let's create our own players like it once was in the Premier League, you know. So I'm not really that concerned about that. But with Saudi Arabia, you have to take them seriously now. It's a bit gimmicky with the Mike Tyson gym, and, you know, I can understand what they're doing and trying to put his name to it, but let's be honest, what's Mike Tyson going to do? You know, he's never trained a fighter before. I know Mike Tyson is involved with Francis Ngannou with the Fury fight, but come on, it's a bit of a gimmick, you know. He's never trained a fighter before. You know, don't get me wrong, he's a legend in the game, but there's the difference, isn't there? You know, what's he going to teach Francis Ngannou in the space of a few weeks? Do you know what I mean? So it is a bit gimmicky, and, you know, but you have to realise that these are major players now. You have to understand that boxing is a universal language. It's not just for the UK and America and Mexico. It's worldwide, you know, and there's people in Saudi Arabia that might not have had a chance before to become a fighter or to go to gyms, and now they will. So I respect that. However, the landscape of boxing will change because Joe won't be the first and he won't be the last trainer heading there. You know, I expect others to go. I said this last year that I can see Eddie Hearn becoming chief promoter of the Middle East. I really can. Once his deal with the zone finishes, I think that's where Eddie Hearn will end up, you know. And there'll be more trainers going. I think Rocky Fielding, a fighter from Liverpool, a UK fighter, I saw he put a tweet out saying he's gone to Saudi Arabia. I presume he's training at a gym there, or he's going to be a trainer, you know, so others will follow. And you can't blame them, you know. Joe Gallagher has paid his dues to the sport. You know, someone's going to offer him an obscene amount of money to do a job he loves. Everyone's going to take it. Do you know what I mean? I'm not too concerned that every trainer will go there because they won't. You know, the UK has great trainers. There's a lot of unsung heroes that don't get the publicity because they're not shouting and screaming and in front of a camera every week. They keep themselves quiet behind the scenes, you know. So I can't blame him for going. And as I say, there's going to be a lot of people heading over there now. You know, there's going to be a lot of people wanting to become boxing trainers because they'll want to work out there. And who am I to say don't take the money, you know? So you can't really blame it. But it is interesting to see what's going to happen with it. It really is. It came out of the blue. I was shocked because Joe is Manchester born and bred. You know what I mean? I don't really see him living in Saudi Arabia, but he's obviously going to have to. I don't know if he's living there full time or if it's part of Ridley season. I don't know. It's not clarified that, but I presume he'll have to live there if he's, the head coach of the gym. And he's experienced, Joe. Do you know what I mean? I've seen him in a gym environment. A lot of people talk about him. A lot of people have things to say about Joe, but you have to understand that this guy is steeped in boxing. He lives and breathes it. He's a proper man manager. All his fighters love him. There's not many that have a bad word to say about him. Yes, you'll have a few, but in his gym, I've seen it with my own eyes. He is the captain of that ship, and they all respect him and they all follow him because he's been there and he's done it. He's worn the t-shirt. So there's no better person to have. If you want to spearhead a boxing revolution in a country, then Joe Gallagher, he will get fighters up to scratch. But it is a time for change. It's signalling a change. The boxing landscape is now heading for big changes, and we might as well be on board with it. What's the point of arguing with it? Do you know what I mean? And my beef is just put the big fights on. I don't want to see Fury in the Garden. It's nonsense. It's garbage. Put Fury and Usyk. They probably did try to put Fury and Usyk, but Fury doesn't want to fight him. I've said this before, and I put a post on my social media yesterday. Look at my Instagram at Johnny Rashman, right? And the reason why Tyson Fury doesn't want to fight Usyk is not because he's scared of him. He's not scared of anyone, Tyson. He's proved that. But he is scared of losing at the present. Why? Because the big deals are coming in. The endorsements are coming in. The purses are coming in. This wasn't the case when he had to accept the Wilder fight first time around. He was coming out with 3 years of the game. He was in the wilderness. He had to say, yes, Deontay, and he had to agree to everything. He was tied up in a contract. There was a rematch. There was a trilogy. He tried to get out of the trilogy to fight AJ. So he had to say yes, Deontay, with that. Whereas now, it's his decision. It's his way or the highway. The big deals are coming in. He is now known as Tyson Fury, the undefeated heavyweight champion. He doesn't want to rock that boat. He's come out and said he wants to now be the big highest paid athlete in Forbes history, which is pretty contradictory considering he was saying, a few years ago, that money doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to him. And now all of a sudden he wants to be on the Forbes list, So the money's gone to his head, hasn't he, right? You got to understand he's an absolute megastar. He's got yes people around him. Yes, Tyson. So listen, money will change any person. It will. So I don't judge him. I just want him to fight Usyk. And that's the reason I don't think he'll fight Usyk, because he doesn't want to rock that boat. As I say, you can have to pay him the most obscene amount of money. If it's true that fighters agree their own deals with Saudi Arabia instead of there being a purse, then Tyson doesn't need to be concerned about what purse Usyk is getting. It's none of his business. It doesn't matter. Stay out of it. It's none of your business. Agree your own deal and let Usyk agree his. If I'm wrong and there is a purse, then fine. But I don't believe he wants to fight Usyk because he doesn't want to rock the boat. The deals are coming in now. But the whole thing is changing now. And as I say, Joe Gallagher won't be the first, he won't be the last. I expect trainers, managers, promoters, fighters to spearhead a revolution now, just like in football. Is it for the long haul? We'll see, right? But as long as they put the fights on, just put the big fights on, not the gimmick fights. Come on. And we'll all be on board with it. But boxing is changing. Maybe the bright lights of Las Vegas and Madison Square Garden and fighting at Wembley in the UK, maybe that's not the holy grail anymore. Do you know what I mean? Maybe it'll be Saudi Arabia in 10, 15 years to come. But let's see if they put the fights on. Right, let me know what you think. Are you shocked that Joe Gallagher was going there? Do you think it's good or bad for boxing? Like, comment, subscribe, let me know.